Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. And in this lesson, I'm going to give a brief overview of the searching function. So like we saw in the previous videos, we can access this interface from the log activity menu. And once we go to log activity, we don't have any filters applied here. So we're going to see all of the events from all of our different sources. But let's say that you want to see only events from our Windows endpoint. So what we can do, one of the ways we can do that, is if we go to the display here, and we're going to aggregate the events by their respective log source, we're going to see all of the log sources that we have on our deployment right now. So we know that our Windows endpoint is this log source. So we can right-click on the log source and select Filter on Log Source, right? And this is going to say we only want to see events from this log source. And let's go back to the display and use the default here. And now we see only events that are coming from our Windows server. But what if, for example, we would like to filter on IP address or any other parameter that can be found inside the logs, maybe event name as well, any other of those parameters. So as you can see, in the event information, this is the window that we can see all of the custom properties we have. So for example, if we want to filter on event type, right, you can see it equals 4 here, event category equals 0, we have level information, all of those fields are not parsed by default. And the reason they're not parsed by default is because we haven't added them to the parsing. And again, we're going to cover parsing in later parts of the course, but right now let's work with the information that we do have. So you have two ways of doing this, either from the add filter button right here, or you can use the user interface that you see right now. So let's say, for example, I would like to filter on events only from this source IP, right? So I can right click it and I can filter on when the source IP is or is not. Or I can also filter on source or destination. So if you click on the first option, which is filter on source IP, it's not going to do anything because all of our events have the same source IP, right? And you can see that your current filters are applied here. So let's clear this one. And now what we're going to do is filter on not source IP. And it's going to show us 0 events, right? Because all of our events has that same source IP. So you can right-click on any of the parameters here, username, event name, log source, and you can filter on or not. And the second way to do this is manually, right? If we go to one of the events, we can see that we have one of the parsed properties here is event ID. We have logon type, we have process name. So let's say, for example, I want to filter on the process name. Right, so I can copy this services.exe. I can return to the event list and add a filter of process name, right, this one. And now we have an operator which we can do equals any of, does not equal, contains, does not contain, contain all of, is NA, not NA, which is very, very great filters. But for our purpose, let's just choose equals. And the values that we saw on the event is services.exe. So we're going to type in the value here, click the plus, and you can add as many values as you want, right? Equals any of those, but let's delete those two and stay with this one. And now our filter is process name is services.exe, right? So this is an important point to note, is that when you use equals, it's case sensitive. So if we type services with a lower s, it's not going to show if it's services with capital S, right? So if we add the filter, we're going to see only one event, because this is an event that has a services.exe, which is what we were looking for. But if we clear the filter and we're going to do equals to process name equals any of services with a capital S, right? It's not going to show us anything because it's based on capitalization, so you see no results were returned. However, there's another method of doing this is instead of using equals any of, we can use contains any of, right? And contains allows us to ignore capitalization. So even if we do capital S here, it's going to show us a result here, right? Because even though it's a lower capital S, because this is the difference between equals and contains. Contains is not, does not look at, it's not case sensitive, and equals is case sensitive. So those two methods are the main two methods of searching. We can use either the user interface or from the add filters. And you can also aggregate by different kinds of parameters here. This is by event name. You can do by low-level category, source or destination IP, username, log source, all of those we saw. And, you know, go ahead, play around with this for a bit. You can also do time, dates, very intuitive user interface. And of course, for this part of the course, this is a basic level that you need to be familiarized with. And in later part of the course, we're going to see how we can do some advanced searching. For example, if you're doing incident response or you need more information about a certain alert or an offense, we can also going to cover that in depth. And this is basically the information that you need to have right now. So yeah, play around with it for a few minutes to get yourself familiarized with the interface, and I will see you guys in the next video.